Evening, everyone, and welcome to the Money Matters webinar, Thrifty Fashion by the Mid-Ulster Multiply programme. My name's Suzanne, and I'm going to be comparing today's session, which will offer guidance on how to reduce expenditure and create versatility within our wardrobes, learn tips to optimise your experience on Vinted, eBay, and second-hand shops, and discover how to care for clothes to promote longevity. So today you're going to hear from Erinrose from ALF and ROE, and the session will be concluded with a Q&A. This webinar is brought to you as part of the Multiply programme funded by the UK Government through the Shared Prosperity Fund. Through Multiply, the Mid-Ulster Labour Market Partnership is delivering several initiatives to help residents increase their numeracy skills in fun, interactive and engaging ways. So just before we get started, I'm just going to take you through a wee bit of housekeeping. So just share my slides here. So just in terms of a bit of housekeeping, then the session is being recorded, and this will be uploaded to the council's YouTube channel for those who can't attend. Cameras and microphones are turned off for all attendees, so you won't be seen or heard at any time during the session. Please make use of the Q&A function. The box is just at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar, so you can use this to ask any questions, and you can indeed ask your questions anonymously. Just tick the box whenever you're doing so. So now I'm going to hand over to our speaker today, which is Erinrose. Erin is owner of ALF and ROE Vintage, a bricks and mortar store which is based in Donegal, County Tyrone for 8 years, and it's recently closed to focus on online and pop-up shops. Developing the brand over this time span online and offline has given Erinrose the opportunity to do this and work more flexibly. So Erin, I'm going to hand over to yourself.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, Suzanne. That's great. So yeah, as Suzanne said, I own ALF and ROE Vintage. So it's been a bricks and mortar store in Donegal for the last 8 years. We have been working on our online presence on our website and selling online. So this has given us the opportunity to solely do that. So we're going to focus on our online presence and pop-up shops, as Suzanne said. This will give me more flexibility with my growing family. I am also a freelance stylist, so I have worked on editorial shoots and music videos, as well as styling for personal clients. So say somebody wants a new wardrobe, they would contact me and I would give them a hand. Yeah, so today I'm going to be discussing how to save money when it comes to our wardrobes and our fashion choices and needs and desires in that department. So a lot of the time we are pushed the narrative of new trends and fast fashion, and this can be very damaging to our purses and to the environment. So it can be difficult to shop sustainably with the marketing algorithms pushed by these fast fashion giants, and the new must-have trends that are being fed to us make us think that we need to be buying the latest item or the latest pair of trainers or whatever. So, and that's not the case. Fast fashion promotes cheap items and it wants to give their buyers that dopamine fix. These items usually have no longevity because they're made from cheap materials and there's no value then placed on the items. They are easily thrown away and disregarded. There was two Irish bloggers, they're both in the fashion industry in the Republic of Ireland, and they went over to Nairobi there this week to visit they have massive secondhand markets over there, so a lot of secondhand clothing is pushed over there and a massive percentage of it can't be used. So they have these massive dumping sites with like mountains and mountains of textiles and clothing that can't be used, is unusable, can't be recycled, and it doesn't degrade. So it's literally going to be on the earth for forever. It's never going to break down, you know. So it was shocking scenes that they were filming and that they uploaded onto their pages. I think they're going to do a documentary series about it, but it's just whenever you see it like that, it shows how much of a major problem it is, you know. So the environmental impact in the mass production of cheap items is huge, and it contributes massively to our waste problem and pollution, usually from the way that they're made and the chemicals that are made to use them. These toxic chemicals can obviously harm the earth and our waters, but they can also harm our health. I've seen things that, you know, wearing items from Shein and fast fashion giants like that can actually, you know, be bad for our health, because we're breathing in the like particles and the plastics, you know, and when they're washed they break down and they become even more toxic, you know. Another issue with fast fashion is their labor exploitation. So they rely on cheap labor in developing countries. They would have like massive warehouses and sweatshops, as they call them, where they rely on cheap labor to push out thousands and thousands of garments a day, which obviously will contribute to poor working conditions whenever they're working such long shifts and low wages, which is another massive problem. So the quality then and the durability of these items, they're usually made from synthetic fibers such as polyester, and you know they're made cheaply and they're lower quality, so they're not going to stand the test of time, and it encourages a cycle of overconsumption and waste. So, and also consumer behavior, it promotes a throwaway culture. So like if you're buying items, say you could buy 5 items at £10 from one of these major fast fashion people or giants, you you think that you're getting a good deal, you know, and you'll do it again and you'll keep going back for that fix. And if you see something that's maybe £30 on a more ethical website, you'll be like, well, I can just get it for this price on another website. So I do see why people can get pulled in by it, but it's just shifting our focus onto, will it last? How, you know, how is it made? Who has made it? And, you know, is it versatile? Will I get longevity out of it? And usually if you're spending that wee bit extra on an item, you will get the longevity out of it. Or obviously if you're shopping secondhand, which we will move on to.
Erinrose, just before you move on, we have a point of clarification in the chemicals in fast fashion, they are actually toxic.
Yeah, so you know, they're made like they're not manned by anybody to check the ingredients of them, so they're just pushed out, and then when they hit the heat of like the washing machine and the water, they start to break down and you're inhaling, and you know it is really bad, you know, like if you look into it more, that these, and even your skin and stuff, you know, the pores in your skin are actually open to these chemicals, so it is something that should be, you know, considered.
Thank you.
No bother. So to address these, obviously there needs to be a major shift in society, and I do think people are a lot more conscious now, you know, they are getting that way. There's still a long way to go, obviously, but I do think people are a bit more conscious, and you would like to think so, with, you know, the material that's out there for us to see and read and watch about how much of an impact it does have on the environment. It can only be a good thing and put people's minds in the right direction when it comes to shopping for clothing. So we need companies and stuff to be promoting sustainable practices. We need to be supporting ethical brands where possible. Obviously, this isn't possible for a lot of people because sometimes this can be a bit more expensive. More mindful shopping habits instead of buying, like, you need to start slow. You can't go right and never buying anything from any of these companies again. It doesn't work that way. You just kind of have to, have it in your psyche that you will be a bit more mindful, and instead of buying 10 items, buy 5 and then break it down to 2 and 1 and slowly cut it out, and then obviously what we've come here to talk about is shopping secondhand, which I'm a massive advocate for anyway. So this is such a sustainable practice and a great way to start making more informed choices. So I have some tips on how to be money savvy when shopping secondhand, and in turn being more sustainable. So you're saving money and you're also saving the planet. I know that sounds extreme, but all these little pieces together help the world and our waters and stuff become healthier. So if we all make small choices, they become massive, improvements. So the tips that I have are, first of all, shopping in thrift stores, as they call them in America, or as we like to call them, secondhand shops. The beauty of these shops, there's so many positives to them, but they're so accessible. So even in Dungannon here, like our closest town, we have, I was trying to count, but I couldn't actually, I think we have like 10 plus charity shops, and some of them are like the larger kind of franchise, like Bernardo's and stuff, and like ones like that. And then you have the smaller ones like For You, which is a great one, and Kindness of Strangers. It's on our street in Dungannon. Like they're great shops and they do so much for the local communities as well. So another great point about secondhand shops is obviously that they're affordable. For most of us, for all of us, I would say. When it comes to shopping for clothing, if you can shop on fast fashion websites, you can shop in secondhand shops. So it's affordable clothing and affordable household items, electronics, like literally everything. You can get any type of product in there, especially in the bigger ones. You're always going to find something unique. Well, not always, but you'll hit it lucky a lot of the time, and you'll find something unique that no one else is going to have, and that, it's jumped out at you and you're drawn to it. Another great thing about secondhand shops is that you can inspect the items. So you can, what you can't do online. I'm obviously a big advocate for online secondhand shopping, but there's a lot to be said for being able to pick something up and feel it and look at it and inspect the lining and the inside and the outside, which is a great aspect. You are supporting charity. So if you're shopping even in the bigger franchise charity shops, you're still supporting that charity, which they all do great work. And then the smaller ones, you're supporting your local community. Like I know that Kindness of Strangers, they like do massive things at Christmas and stuff. They help families and kids that are in difficult situations by getting them Christmas presents and stuff, and money for heating and stuff like that, which is amazing. You will find in these charity shops like quality items. So a lot of the time the vintage items, or they don't even have to be vintage, but the older items will be made with better care and materials. So you'll often find like silk and cashmere and wool and like those types of fabrics, which will stand the test of time, and they look good, and they look, you know, they look better, and they like wash better and wear better. So I was
Erinrose, we have another question, and sorry to interrupt. What actually makes something vintage? So if you buy in a secondhand shop, if it's, say, for example, out of Shein,
yeah,
does that make it vintage?
no. Shein hasn't been about that long, so what makes something vintage is it has to be 20 years plus. So which is now where the early noughties is considered vintage, which would be scary for some people. But no, an item should be in good quality condition and 20 years plus old. So I, in my shop, have items from the 1920s right up to the early 2000s, and they would all be considered vintage. So yeah, it's vintage is a massive bracket, but those, the likes of Zara and Shein and H&M and places like that usually aren't considered vintage unless they're like really early items from them. But still, they have to be in good condition and good quality materials to be able to be sold on as vintage. But yeah, that's what makes something vintage, is if it's been on the earth for 20 years or more. Yep. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah. So the materials that you'll find in this charity shop and how amazing they can be, like, you know, you can get coats and stuff that are wool and cashmere blend, and like, I mean, if you were going to go and buy that new now, you'd find it hard to get something under £200 or £300, you know, for those materials and the way they're made. But you could pick it up for £5 or £10 or £15 in your local charity shop. And you know, you might have your eye on something that you've seen online or on the high street, but you know, having that in mind, yes, but thinking outside the box of something that could be like that or could be styled like that, or you know, seeing it a bit, the bigger picture, and you know, not, if something, you see something and you really want it, thinking, well, I might be able to get that in the charity shop for this price and nobody else will have it. You know, there's so many benefits. It is a fun experience. Like, personally, it's like therapy to me to go to a charity shop. Like, I do it to just to browse. You know, you don't even have to like purchase, but like to browse and get inspiration for outfits, and you know, to see how things are made, and you know, just to see what you can pick up. Like, I'm a mum as well, so I always check the kids sections, and like, I've got some of their best outfits out of the secondhand shops. You know, like little vintage dresses for my daughter, and then you know, we hand knit jumpers and stuff, you know, that you couldn't find on the high street, or on those particular fast fashion websites, because they just don't do them, and if they were to emulate them, they still wouldn't be as good a quality. Like, you're finding handmade stuff as well in charity shops, which is unbelievable that somebody's took the time to sit and make something and then it's accessible to you. Another top tip when charity shopping, secondhand shopping, is to always check the men's section for items for yourself, because some of the like the best shirts and blazers that I own are from the men's section, and they're tailored and they're lined and they're, you know, shoulder pads, like, on really high quality materials and stuff. So we would always check the men's section. I nearly go there first, just to see what I can find. And like, I would always look out for things for like family members and stuff, you know, that I know that they might like, sending photos to them, or you know, yeah, just buying it. And, you know, secondhand gifting should become more acceptable as well, because some of the things that I found in the charity shops have been like, you know, I wouldn't have been able to afford to buy them new, you know. So don't shy away from secondhand gifting. I think it should be more common. Pardon me. Yeah, so that's my tips on shopping in secondhand shops. Next, we have Vinted and eBay, two great platforms. I know there are other secondhand platforms, on online platforms, like Depop, but I haven't really used Depop. I don't have much experience on it, but I know that it's similar features to Vinted and eBay. So the benefits of shopping on these eBay and Vinted platforms are similar to secondhand shops, but you know, you navigate it in a way that's makes it more user friendly for you. So first of all, you're being sustainable, more sustainable than you would be if you're shopping on fast fashion websites. They can be very affordable. Depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for designer stuff, you're obviously going to pay more. But if you're looking for basics or, you know, high street or vintage, you can get really good prices. Me and my husband both use Vinted and eBay, but like there is such a knack to it. I think if a lot of people go onto the websites or the apps and feel like overwhelmed because there's so much, you know, so say like you wanted a black blazer, let's just say, and pardon me, you type in black blazer to search bar, like thousands and thousands of items will pop up. So what you need to do is go into the filter options and say it's for me. So I would put in, you know, you would filter by women's like jackets, then size. So say I was like size 12 and I wanted maybe like a bit of an oversized look, I would filter the size and choose size 12, size 14, and potentially size 16. Then you can go in and filter by color, black, and there's so many other filters that you can use, and then you can price. So like say you're like, I do not want to pay more than £20 for this blazer because I'm on a budget, which a lot of us are at the minute. You can then narrow your price range, so you can put it from 0 then to 20, which cuts out thousands of options that you would have just been skipping past anyway. So that is like such an amazing feature, and you know, it saves you so much time, like because nobody has the time to be trawling through pages and pages of the same type of thing, you know. So that would be my major top tip for Vinted and eBay. Narrowing your search to make it more user friendly and more, you know, you're more willing to go back to it if you have like success in finding something that you wanted. The options are endless. So if you had an outfit but you just needed one last thing to finish it off, or you had your heart set on a certain item, you know, the likelihood is that you will find it on eBay or Vinted. And if you were to go walking up the high street in Belfast or wherever, you could be looking and you wouldn't find it. So that's it too. You know, you have so many more options online. And I don't like to say that because I don't want the high street to be, you know, the high street's so important as well. Like, but I think when it comes to supporting smaller businesses and shopping secondhand, that's a good tip, just if you are looking for something particular. So yes, filtering makes it less overwhelming, because even friends of mine and family are like, yeah, like I've tried it, but it's just so much on there. And I'm like, yeah, but you need to use the filters, and then you'll find your way then, and it'll be so much easier. Also, you have the ability to ask questions about items. So you can contact the seller and say, like, is there any damage to this? Can I see another picture of this? Do you have the measurements for this? Like, so many, questions, any questions that you might have, you can ask, which is great when you can't see the product in real life. You can leverage off your own sales. So if you're selling on the platform, if you're selling on Vinted or eBay, that money can go, well, I know it does on Vinted, but I'm not sure on eBay at the minute, but it goes straight into your balance. So say if I put up a pair of Adidas trainers and I sold them for £20, the Vinted automatically takes the postage and generates you a postage label. You just go in and scan it in the shop. Different shops have like Yodel and stuff. And then they put the sticker on the parcel, so you don't even have to print anything out, which is handy. And then the amount for the item goes straight on your balance. So you can either leave that money in your balance, or you can cash it out into your bank account if you want to just simply make money off selling your items, or you can use that money to buy new stuff, which is what I do. So it's basically free. But yeah, so the ability to sell and buy, and like if you've sold £50 worth of stuff, you have that £50 worth to buy the things that you need. You don't need to like needlessly spend it, but it can be sitting in there for when you do need something. So yeah, you can make money off Vinted as well by selling your own items, which should be considered for everybody. If you have that, like, if you have items that you're like, look, it's too good to go to the charity shop, I'm not willing to part with it. I could do with the extra cash, so I'll try and sell it on Vinted or eBay. It's worth a try anyway. They're also great, these websites, for other items, like not just clothing. Obviously I said about the children, like it's great for, like, say, young parents and stuff, or anybody who has kids. You can buy, like, say, your child, because they grow out of items so quickly, like you can go on and buy bundles. So another parent could be selling a bundle of, say, baby grows from 3 to 6 months, and they could be selling 10 of them, and for really cheap, just because they're want to make money off them and somebody wants to buy them. So it's great that way, that you can buy bundles of things as well. You just type that in your search bar, and then a bundle will come up. You can buy toys and household items, furniture and electronics and stuff on those sites as well. Another place that people would buy online would be Facebook Marketplace. I don't really have any experience in shopping for clothes on there, but I know people do. But it's great for household items and furniture and things like that as well. What's next? So yes, next one is a good one. Shopping your own wardrobe. I know that sounds a little weird, but we have so much in our own wardrobes that we overlook. And I think every few months, everyone should like go into their wardrobe, see what they have, try stuff on, take an hour or two just to be like, what do I have? What do I want to wear? And what have I not worn in the last 6 months? And trying on things that you haven't worn in a while and seeing if you still like them, or if they've, you know, done their bit and you're ready to donate them or sell them on Vinted or eBay. A great wee tool is Pinterest. They have this feature now that you can make vision boards, you know, like you would see people making vision boards where they like cut out parts of magazines and editorial lookbooks and stuff, and they stick them all together on one board. This is a feature now on Pinterest, so you could say, we'll go for the black blazer again, or say like a trench coat. You could put all these smaller pictures of inspiration and outfit inspiration into this vision board. It's easy accessible on the app. You pull it up, you'll be like, right, I've got my trench coat, what am I going to wear with it? And then your vision board will come up and you'll see, yes, I've got a t-shirt like that, I've got those jeans, and I've got a similar pair of trainers, so I'll wear that. It just makes it easier, and you're not like thinking, I need more clothes, I don't have enough clothes. You know, it just gives you the like encouragement to wear what you already have, and the imagination to go and dig out something that's at the bottom of the cupboard and rewear it. So rewearing our items and not being afraid to rewear them as well, you know, like I know with social media, like young people nearly be afraid to be seen in the same item more than once, but I think it's like a bold and kind of rebellious thing to rewear and rewear and rewear. Like I'm wearing the same coats and blazers this past 5 or 10 years, you know. It's, if something's good and you like it, like why not, you know? So yeah, another tip would be to invest in good quality basics. So I think sometimes, just speaking on in terms of us ladies, we don't have the basics right. So we don't have the white shirt, we don't have the crisp white t-shirts and the tank tops and the bodysuits and stuff that we need to create the outfit. So it's just nailing down what basics you need for your wardrobe. And again, these don't have to be new, they can be secondhand basics. They don't have to be expensive, they can be good quality and not expensive. You can look for these items in the charity shops as well, because a lot of the time, you know, people aren't donating items because they're faulty or they're old. They're donating them because maybe they have too many, or they don't fit them anymore, or they've just grown out of them, you know. So you can often find really good quality basics like shirts and t-shirts and, you know, polo necks and stuff like that in charity shops too. Donating and selling the clutter to give room so you can actually see your clothes, because I know a lot of us, me and my husband, have had to work on this as well. Our wardrobes are like packed in, you know, and you just kind of keep reaching for the same items because you can see them. So it's working out your space and working out what you're wearing and what you're not wearing, and creating a more kind of attractive like wardrobe or, you know, clothing space that you can make the use out of. And it's easy to see everything. It's easy to see your trousers. It's easy to see everything in their sections, you know. I do think that's a big one, because we're always so busy and it's just grab what you can and get it on you. But I think taking a bit of time and care in your actual wardrobe, you find yourself then wearing like whole new outfits, and it gives you like just a fresh look on what you already have. So you're not needing to go and spend more money on buying new stuff and cramping it up even more. Figuring out some key versatile pieces that you could add to your wardrobe and that you could style up with most of the items that you already have. So obviously it depends on your personal style, but I think like blazers and coats and stuff, like if you have the basics and the jeans and the boots and everything right, then it's figuring out some key pieces that you can wear from day to night. You can style up, you can wear casually, like working out what that is for you. Like I know I've mentioned blazers about 100 times in this, but I love wearing a blazer like during the day with a more casual top or a t-shirt or a band t-shirt, and jeans, or even like you can wear like a tracksuit and a blazer, you know, for that kind of streetwear look. Or then in the evening you can add a heel, a pair of jeans, or put your blazer over a dress, or wear your blazer as the outfit. So belt your blazer and wear like a slip underneath it, and your blazer looks like a dress if it's long enough. That's what you need to get into the men's section in the charity shops to get the long line blazers. Yeah, so that's it really. And that department's shopping your own wardrobe, figuring out what you need and what you don't need, and you know, making the most of what you already have, because a lot of us do have such beautiful pieces that we kind of overlook, and instead of buying more, we can save money by not buying, and just using what we have, and then adding secondhand items where we need to. Another tip is caring for your clothes. Caring for what you have, and caring for any new purchases, secondhand new purchases, to promote longevity. So that would be wash with care. This one is a big one because a lot of us just bung it all in at 60 degrees and hope for the best. But if you do have something that you're not sure of if how it'll wash, just make sure and read the label, and wash with care, and avoid overwashing as well, because that can damage our clothing and cause wear on it when it's not needed. It's spot clean a lot of the time, or like just looking at it and seeing if it actually needs washed before just throwing it into the wash. Because a lot of times it can just need aired out, or like coats and things like that. It reduces fading and damage when there's that little bit more care taken. So air drying as well. I know a lot of us here, we don't have the weather for that, but air drying where possible like stops like shrinkage and damage to our clothes. And also watching the heat on the iron as well. It's a big one, because I've had some stunning vintage dresses in here in my shop that have been ruined by too much heat on the iron, and it's just the most devastating thing ever. So I would say a steamer is a great asset to have. You can get little handheld steamers on Amazon and things like that, or you could look out for them in the charity shop. But they're so handy, and they're so they don't damage your clothes, but they get rid of the wrinkles, and it's so quick and easy as well. I use one in the shop, and it's just brilliant. So we had to get one for the house as well. And a big one as well is repair instead of replace. So if you have an item that has a tear in it, don't just think that's it, it's done. It's a lot of these pieces can be easily repaired, and somebody in your family may be able to do it, or a dressmaker, which there is plenty of them around. As well as that, like altering clothes, like, so say somebody's given you something, or your granny's old clothes have been rediscovered in the attic, and you love one of the dresses but the length's just a bit funny, just, you know, have the imagination to think of it as a shorter length, or if you took the sleeves up, or, you know, adding something to it, or, you know, upholstering it in some sort of way, like adding a different piece of material onto it or whatever, can usually transform items. And that goes for when you're out shopping in secondhand shops and things like that. If you do see something that you love, but it's maybe not the right shape, or it's a couple of sizes too big, like, just think, could a dressmaker like change the shape of this or make it smaller? And 9 times out of 10 they can. Yeah, another one is looking out for events online and offline. So these can be clothes swaps, which are becoming a lot more popular. Maybe in the city, like in Belfast and stuff, you would get it more, but there has been some like locally as well. So just keeping an eye out for them. Car boot and jumble sales as well are a good one. You don't really see much of them either, but if you do, like, definitely go along, because they're always treasure troves. Charity secondhand events, like, I've seen that a good bit recently with things that is going on in the world. They're doing, you know, resell or secondhand clothing events where all the money that's made then goes to charity, you know, which is great. And then live sales on like Instagram and stuff. So that would be considered an online event, where people that you follow, like, say you're into vintage clothing, or even there's lots of secondhand resellers on the likes of Instagram. They often do like live sales where they'll like showcase the items, and you can buy or bid on the items. There is other websites, Whatnot and Tilt are 2 of them that I have discovered, where it's like an auction. It's like a live auction where you can go in and filter what you're interested in, which would be clothing, and they do like live auctions where you can bid like in real time on items, which is interesting and could be another avenue to explore. If you're into vintage, you know, following your favorite vintage shops and vintage sellers on their social media pages, that will give you updates on new pieces and information on physical and online events that they might be having. And then as well, you can keep an eye on their Instagram lives for sales that they could be doing. Yes, Geraldine was keen for me to talk about my favorite accessory, the scarf. So got another one here to show you. So these are silk scarves. You can pick these up on any of the places that we've discussed for probably as little as £1, but they are the most versatile little items ever. Like, they can be worn on your head as like a turban, you know, like the whole way around your head and tied at the back, big bows around your neck. I have one on at the minute. It's like a wee collar under my jumper dress, just to give it a wee bit something extra. Neck scarves, tops. So yeah, you can tie them in so many ways. So if you put it into a triangle, say you're on holidays or something, or underneath a blazer, the blazer's getting mentioned again, you know, tie it around and tie it at the back, depending on the size of the scarf, of course. But if you're like me, you'll have a collection of them that can do so many different things. Can be worn as belts, bag straps, skirts. The possibilities are endless. But if anybody wants to see any more like links or videos, like if you type it into like YouTube or TikTok or even Instagram, like ways to style your silk scarf, like, you'll be surprised at what comes up. It's unreal what people can do with them. Or if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'll send them through some links. Yes, so shopping secondhand, to wrap it up, saves money, gives you a unique and fun look, and makes you a bit more imaginative in your dressing. Other people can't copy it because they'll not be able to find the items that you're wearing because they're usually one-off pieces. The items are premium. They're made from premium. A lot of the time, they're made from premium fabrics and non-toxic fabrics and natural fibers. You're supporting a lot of the time small businesses when you're shopping vintage and secondhand, because a lot of us are, it's a passion and you're doing it because you love it. And then when you're shopping in secondhand shops and stuff, you're supporting charities, which is amazing. Like, I love that part of it. It's just so you're getting to have a fun experience, but you're also supporting charity when you're doing it, It's obviously then a more sustainable and eco-friendly choice, and small steps to help our earth. And yeah, that's basically my little summary on how to save money and be more conscious when you're shopping for your wardrobe. Yeah, I think there might be a few questions. I'm not sure though.
Yes, Erinrose, thank you. That was brilliant. We have a few questions in.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite charity shop find?
Yeah, so we discuss this quite often, me and my mum and sister, like, and my granny, she was obsessed with shopping in secondhand shops as well. So it's just like passed down through the generations. And like my brother loves it as well. It's like a way of life now to us. Like, we just, it's like a wee day out for us. But yeah, the thing that I probably would think about the most would be this like tailored wool and cashmere full length coat that I got. I think it was actually in Dungannon. I'm not exactly sure which one, but it has, like, it's tailored and it's embroidered and it has big massive gold buttons and it just fitted me to perfection. And like, I would have been looking for a long time to try and find it in a high street shop, and it was vintage, so it would have been made in like the 80s or something, and it was just perfect. And I'll keep it forever, and I'll pass it on to my daughter. It'll still be as good a quality because of the materials that it's made from, and she's my age.
Sounds great. And are you aware of any secondhand shopping events that are coming up locally?
Well, they are quite hard to find in the smaller towns, but like, we're not far from Belfast, and I know Little Fox events, they do a lot of markets. So they do, it's like independent, like businesses and small retailers and stuff that be at these markets, and a lot of secondhand clothing, vintage clothing. There's a couple of people that do secondhand trainers that are like premium, but at a knockdown price and stuff. And they're really fun events with loads of lovely food vendors and, music and stuff. One would be in the Banana Block, which is in East Belfast. It's a massive big hall, and they have a DJ and stuff, and loads of amazing like small businesses that you can shop from. And then they do one in the north in the McConnell's distillery, and it's really cool as well. Similar setup, but definitely worth checking out even for a day out, to go down to Belfast and do a bit of shopping and supporting local small businesses.
Lovely. And we've actually had a few people asking, how do you spot clean your clothes? You had mentioned that when you were talking about longevity and preserving our clothes.
Yeah.
Is there a way to do it?
Well, my mum and dad own a laundrette, so I have like anything that I need cleaned, I just pass it on to my mum, like, so bad. I'm like 33 or 34 maybe. I don't know what age I'm, 34. I'm still giving my mummy things, but she would always try very liquid or like washing up liquid, wee tiny bit on water first. And if that doesn't remove it, she has some lotions and potions that she uses, but usually in like just like hot cloth and very liquid. Or another one was, that micellar water that people use on their face. It doesn't like stain the clothes, but it like kind of breaks up stains just with a wee cloth as well. Or just like wiping it down and seeing if it comes off. Like a lot of the time it will, if it's not a stubborn stain.
That's great. Thank you, Erinrose. That's it.
Great. That was brilliant.
Super.
Thank you very much. I would like to also thank Mid-Ulster Council for having me on this evening. It's been lovely, and it's been lovely chatting to all the ladies who have organised this.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Erinrose. That was great. It was really informative. And I think everyone would have got something really useful out of it. Just want to say thank you yourself and thank you again to Mid Ulster Council. The webinar was hosted by the Mid Ulster Multiply program, and you'll see on your screen there's a QR code which will send you to an evaluation survey just to give us a wee bit of feedback on what you thought of today's session. Really appreciate all your thoughts. This feedback form will also be emailed out to everyone that registered, so you'll get this as well. But if you want to scan now, you've got a couple of seconds. And otherwise, thank you so much, everyone. Chat soon.